Everyone's
really
always
bad.
going to
I'm
bring
getting
up
really bad feedback.
the Emu War, isn't it? Like, yeah, you don't got clocks. You guys lost against there. Oh shit, we're live. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Xbox Infinite. Just arguing about emus. Been an interesting. It's been a really good week actually for gaming. There's been a lot of games, not a lot of news, but a few things that have dropped later in just before the show, really, that I wanted to talk about. I haven't added to the topics list. Before we do, we'll go to the guest. Welcome to the show. First time, Red Wolf. Great to have you in. The frontman of Red Wolf Renegades podcast. How you doing?
Yes, the Renegade Realm podcast, baby. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. I've been skipping and jogging across the podcast landscape, and I happened to land face first into your lap. Well, that didn't sound right, but you know. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is good content.
Just physically picturing that. Infinite Umbra, another fantastic week in gaming. Welcome back. Well, I haven't seen you all week. Been a busy man.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you've been playing. So what have you been playing? What have you been up to? What's been going on?
You know, it's crazy because you're right. I mean, we haven't had a chance to really talk in a minute, but just work, man, playing games and just doing other things in life, right? So, as far as everything else, I've been playing too much. It's like it's too much to play. I actually play so much games I forgot what I played, and tried and true Chicago alarm just went off in the background. Anyway, man, I've been playing a bunch of everything. I beat Cocoon last week. Enjoyed that a lot.
Good game.
Really good game. If to the audience, if you all have not tried that yet, I would give it a go. It's tough at the later points of the game as far as the puzzles, but it's really good. Short game. Starfield, of course, new game +3. I still want to get to new game +10 with that and finish that off and call that a day before the expansion, of course. And everything else, man. I also played Darktide with Pete and Vinny and Blood Wolf, and I enjoyed that as well. I think it's better with a squad of friends than by yourself. I'm not sure where I stand on that just yet. I got to get more time in it. Just been enjoying a lot of games. It's an overabundance of good stuff to play right now, and Game Pass is popping. But outside of that, of course, the podcasting. I had my podcast yesterday. It's pretty solid, just me and Danny. We kept it to 2 hours. Eat that risk. It was pretty good, man. I try to keep it actually under that, and we just happened to hit 2 hours, so it's working out pretty nice. And happy to be here with you guys today. Thank you, Red Wolf, for joining us, brother.
Absolutely. Good to have you on.
Thank you.
JediKnightPete, another fantastic week in gaming. There's a lot to there's actually a fair bit I want to talk about with Assassin's Creed, and you've been playing that as well as I have. So how's your week been? How you feeling about it? I mean, we'll get into it a bit more later, but just your quick initial thoughts, and what have you been up to?
Not as far as you are, so I know the combat's been bugging you a little bit, but so far it's a good game. It hasn't blown me away. The cutscenes have been great. I'm loving the story so far. It's a 7 out of 10, but it just feels good to be back in this Assassin's Creed universe. Other than that, there's just too much to play. I've been playing a little bit of Warhammer with the guys, much better when you're playing the squad, but another okay game. Playing AC, playing Starfield. I tried a little bit of Cocoon, haven't got far into that, but wow, aren't we blessed with how many games we've got to play, and Forza in a couple of days. Thanks for joining us, Red. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Blue. Another fantastic week. How have you been? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? How are things?
Hello. Hi, Red. Thanks for being here. I think on Colt's podcast, I was telling you that you and I need to just dress purple head to toe and do this thing because it was red versus blue, right?
Exactly. We're taking it back to 2005.
Yeah, we're going to go full Grimace.
Yes, there we go.
I played Darktide, and it's pretty mid. And I mean, I don't know. You know, it's kind of mindless, which is good. But anyway, I finished Cocoon faster than Riskit and helped him through it.
No, you did not.
Definitely did. And,
I'm glad you rubbed that in his face. He deserved that.
It's not even true. I caught up to her, and then finished it before her. But she's
And
just
then I
upset.
blew past you.
You did.
No.
I was finished before you even turned the damn thing up. Yeah. Anyway, yep. Keep going.
This is the most upset I think I've seen him in months. So, working on Starfield, and I am dying for Call of Duty. So I jumped back in a little bit to Modern Warfare 2 and just trying to scratch the itch, but it's not really working. I really, really want Call of Duty. So
Yeah,
that's my week.
that zombies looks good, right?
It's definitely the whole thing's been reworked quite a bit, and I spammed you guys with tons of notes from COD Next, so
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Saw that. We are going to get into that later. Before we do, I'm going to jump into a quick super chat that we had from Spartan661 last week with a 199 super chat. Thank you very much, bro. He dropped that right at the end of the show. I think we had switched off. He said, JR is going to make, I think he's talking about Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan's going to make all to pay except the US. Yeah, well, he did that, and that's sort of weird, but understandable. Xbox did the same thing. They followed suit. But he has been responsible for almost every price rise in the industry. So thank you, Jim. If that's what your tenure left us with, we all appreciate you. Anyway, we're going to move on to the first topic of the week. I sort of wanted to briefly talk about Forza Motorsport. I haven't played it, so there's not a whole lot that I can say about it. And I'm not sure if anyone who is on the panel has played it, but I was a little bit surprised at the scores that it sort of landed with. And I think it was all really based around graphical prowess. And that's not, so my sort of thing was the conversation that I wanted to sort of take it towards, and you guys can absolutely change it up if you feel you need to, but isn't physics where you should be headed with a new racer? Shouldn't that be, the sort of top of the pile when it comes to updating your new racer, especially if you're doing a live service like we know Motorsport's going to be? But there was a heavy focus on graphics and not really the gameplay, especially in all the reviews. I read a couple of reviews, and they also focused a lot on the graphics. There's a fantastic review from Seasoned Gaming. He did a great review and referenced the features and the feel of the game, which is really what I wanted to sort of hear about. So I was pretty surprised when, with IGN's score. And then the other thing that's sort of been bothering me is there's a lot of conjecture online about what is a bad game, and apparently now anything that's in the 80s, bad game. So, Umbra, I wanted to jump to you. I don't know if you're a massive racing fan, but I know you didn't mind Forza. What are your thoughts on sort of what's going around the community? And look, when they did review it and they gave it an 8 for IGN, it was Luke Riley, and he is a reviewer that I respect when it comes to car games. He's usually on point. So I don't know. I found it odd that the physics wasn't the focus of the review.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you on that. Like, my thing though is that I'm more attuned to the horizon now, and I care more for. I by the way, I am a big racer fan, but I think traditionally I care for arcade racers more than sim style racers. Right? Forza did turn it around for me. Largely, I couldn't stand GT in the earlier years, like maybe outside of 3. I didn't really care for sims like that. They didn't stick and land with me, right? But I haven't played enough of past Forza mainline motorsport games to say what they took away from this that I don't like either. And I have yet to play the new motorsport, so I can't really give too much outside of the things we're hearing around it. What I will say is from the gameplay I've seen, there was much ado about the visuals and things like that, and it did make the game look dated because it looked flat due to the natural lighting for certain modes and such. But like when you see the game hoodless without the hood on it, and in like wet conditions, for instance, if it's raining and things like that, it is freaking photorealistic. It looks like real life. Literally, I just shared a tweet that I quoted. I got an achievement that show somebody's gameplay, and it looked photorealistic. The game looks super impressive, so it's visually stunning. There you go, Pete.
Congratulations.
Diamond. So yeah, my takeaway from everything though is I think there's a lot of FUD being created online to try to dim Forza's light. And I say that because not only are we suddenly hearing about an inferior GT7, although our Hoove brothers will tell you it's inferior. It got an 87 rather, more than Forza has. But that goes into a different conversation altogether for me. But what I'll say is, I don't think Forza is better than GT7 is better than Forza Motorsport, especially when you look at the issues that had and the things that you hear in these reviews for Forza. So I'm confused as to how it got less of a score than GT7. But man, I think that it was a bigger focus that from what I'm seeing on a career path, the career campaign and how that works. A lot of people had issues with that. And like you said, Luke Riley has always been their go-to guy for the reviews of car games. And if he's saying this, I believe he's a fair guy. So an 8 out of, for one, an 8 is great, right? So I think we have to condition ourselves to get out of that. It has to be 9 and above thing. And I fall into that trap myself sometimes. In no small part thanks to our Hoove brothers, but because they've pushed that whole 90 narrative that you have to hit the 90 thing. Anything below that is terrible, right? And sometimes when you debate them so long, you become a part of that nonsense. So I'm pushing that out of my mind to say, I think the score that it got is well enough. It's 83, I believe, meta right now. And I think even on Open Critic. So that's solid, man. I'm all for trying it out and playing it. I just don't know how long I'll stick to it, because I'm more of an arcade style gamer. But I had a question that I do want to pose to you guys on it that I asked Danny yesterday on my podcast, and that was, do you think that even with these reviewers that maybe their minds are more attuned to putting Forza Horizon as the new meta? Maybe that's part of the issue. Maybe they see that more as the de facto racer now, and now Forza Motorsport coming out as a sim, I don't know if it's as popular as Horizon. Well, so I wonder if it gets less love because of that too.
Well, that was some of the complaints that I saw as well. Like there was a couple of pretty major complaints from reviewers that I trust, and there's a couple that I'd go to. And Season Gaming, Ains, we had him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He runs a great site, does not advertise, doesn't pay for advertising. There's no monetization of his site. His site's mainly, it's all about done for love. And one of the things that he referenced is the lack of career mode or features in the career mode and things that are missing that have been in previous games. That's something that we see with Microsoft's first-party studios quite a lot, actually. And it's something that we see through third-party as well, where they release a sequel and it's missing features that were present in previous games. And something else that I've seen that a lot of people are saying is that it feels more arcadey, which I'm surprised about. I'd need to get my hands on myself to sort of see if that's true. But then that would sort of tip towards, if it feels more arcadey, I feel like, if you're not one of the hardcore racers, that's going to be more for you, right? So I don't know. Red, what are you an arcadey sort of racer, or do you lean towards the Sims? Do you think it probably took a hit because Forza's the Horizon's the new meta, or?
I'm glad you asked, Riskit. No. But
I like how you answered that like a politician. I'm glad you asked that question. Great question.
Let me answer that question with a question. No, I'm really not even much of a racer. I see what I'm waiting for is for racers to evolve into, give a little bit more variety. Like I'm waiting for the racer that's allows you to customize your cars, allows you to sell them. It's open world. I would even like to be able to get out of my car. And look, they could even add guns and maybe like 3 playable characters, set it in like Los Angeles or something like that. I'm waiting for that kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that kind of game exists. So let me know in chat if it does.
Sounds like Mad Max-ish.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So you're talking, you're talking about GTA.
I don't know what that is. But no, like I seriously, I remember what was the racer that allowed you to like destroy environments around you while was that Burnout? It was a Burnout game, and
I can't remember.
You would be driving, and you could
So you're more arcadey, is what you're saying? Is you sort of lean towards the arcadey?
That's my answer.
And the shooty, right?
Yeah. And the game does look good. You brought up a razor earlier. Did you mean like in terms of everyone judging it by its how pretty it is whenever you buy a razor. You're not like, ooh, shiny blades. You're not concerned about how shiny they are. You want to know if they're sharp. You know, I like that analogy. I don't know if that's what you meant, but yeah.
I don't know if I brought up a razor.
It was a good point, man. Good job.
If I said racer, could be the accent. Blue.
Yep.
How you feeling? How you feeling about Forza and the reviews? Do you feel like we're getting an Xbox tax again? Is that what's happening?
Well, I haven't played it yet because I don't have the early access. But Gray Monad, who's in the chat, has, and he seems to love it. Ben Kenobi sent along a tweet that he found today. So credit to him and credit to the writer of the tweet. His name is Don Juan Song. And he had a really long tweet about, the good and the bad of Forza. And I thought it was, not having played it, it sounded very fair, right? It gave credit and said physics, multiplayer, the tracks, the weather variants, all of that are like the best they've ever been, right? Which is kind of where Forza usually shines, right? But then the upgrade system, they massively changed the upgrade system this year, and I've heard positives, but then I've also, this guy particularly said, if he wanted to put a wide body kit to every car that has one, it would take him over 250 hours of racing, which is almost 3,700 laps on the longest race in the game, which is insane. Like, I mean, I know what it's like to love a game, but I don't know if I would love that, right? He had some other comments about things. One was that in the trailers it looked like there were drift cars, but there aren't any in the actual game. And then he said that like the vinyl editor, the replay mode, the photo mode are all just in really bad shape, probably the worst that they've ever been. So I don't know. I mean, it's this one guy's critique, but he's clearly played a lot of hours and put a lot of time investment, and he is a racer / Xbox centric person. So, it's not somebody just trying to take a piss, right? Like, it's somebody trying to evaluate the game. And so it seems like I've seen a lot of those similar comments kind of spread across Twitter and some other people. So it sounds like Forza has a lot of shining moments, but that, again, and this is probably a bigger conversation, I have a friend who is yelling at me all the time how Xbox just can't quite seem to get things over the line, get them to, full critique, get them to full, just full glory, right? There's always just something. There's always something that just isn't fleshed out right. And I mean, it's getting hard to, defend that. And I kind of starting to agree with him, but at the same time, they're not bad games, right? Anything in the 80s is not a bad game. 70s, probably not a bad game. You probably love the hell out of it, even if it's not, critically acclaimed. But there is something unfortunate that Xbox just really hasn't hit one that's absolutely undeniable.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that is
absolutely true.
Being that either.
I can't. Yeah, I couldn't argue with that. If you're going to be fair, that it does seem to be a bit of a sort of that stepping stone where they can't quite hit that 90s. They did in 2021. They smashed it with Halo, and then dropped the ball. And then Forza Horizon.
But even Halo, you can't even quite count Halo either because the multiplayer was in such disarray when the game came out. Campaign's different story, but it's a package deal. Right.
No, but I disagree with that. I think the multiplayer when it came out was fantastic. It just it wasn't content rich, but it was enough for launch if they were to bring something 3 months later, and they didn't.
I agree.
That's true.
Yeah. So I think the launch was was great. That's why, it got fantastic reviews, and then they just dropped the ball. So, I mean, I guess we do see that a lot with Xbox, and it is an issue, and it does seem like a management thing, and, but
the only thing Sorry. The only thing I'll just add to that really quick is that I lost it. Damn it, Riskit.
Well,
I hate when I do that.
what I was going
gonna
to say,
just before you go, I was just going to add this last point. If Don Juan Song is saying that, and this dude had like I think an affiliation even with Turn 10 at a point, and he eventually like left them maybe I think last year or something like that. This guy is big Halo. Halo. Now I got Halo on my mind. This guy is big Forza content. He's a big Forza content creator. He's the one that you see doing all those crazy tricks and stuff like that. Like if he's saying this, I trust him 100%. I'll say that right now. I know he's not coming from a place of trying to tear it down.
Yeah.
So,
I remember what my point was too.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm butting in before I forget again because this.
You're all right.
So I've seen a lot of talk on Twitter too about, ponies are pushing this is the Game Pass effect. Everything's going to just come out mid, or it's going to just not hit the finish line. It's going to have all these pieces that are missing. And like, I would argue that that's not tied to Game Pass at all. I would argue that that's probably tied to Xbox and building their studios and having too much going on at the same time, and just a QA/QC thing that hopefully is going to get improved, now that they're, much larger and kind of slowing down on some of that growth. And because like even Phil has talked about how disappointed, right, he is in how things have happened. So they know. It's not like they don't know. I think they're trying to figure out ways to sort of work on those issues.
yeah, and I would probably push back on that just a little bit to say that I feel like it's a live service issue that games don't. I mean, we already see that with third parties that aren't live service. When it comes to like Jedi Survivor, that released as a feature complete game, but it was broken. There always seems to be something missing, I guess, from a lot of these games, and to get it right is tough. But when it comes to live service, when you release a live service game, it's never what it's going to be down the road. Even with Starfield, when you look at Starfield, it's such a big game, and knowing how Bethesda supports their games going forward, that game is not what it's going to be down the road. But I feel like that's a bit of a trap, right? So that might be a trap that Microsoft's falling into. It's like, yeah, we've got enough features in this game. Sure, it's missing features that it did have, but let's release it, and then we can just build on it over time, which I believe is what the road that they're going down with Forza, and it's probably the correct road. But I think you once you've had features in 7 and 6, you absolutely have to release feature complete and then build on top of that base instead of building from a base that's halfway back down the line. I think that's a bit of a trap.
I agree, but that's not a Game Pass issue. That's a Microsoft issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
think it's a Microsoft issue. I think it's just a live service issue. I mean, go back to Fortnite's release. That's and then that's another argument I've had through the community in the last couple of days. That people are like, generational games usually release with top scores. I'm like, well, Fortnite didn't. Fortnite was a mess, and they didn't know what they were going to do with it. But they continued to support it, and they pushed it towards something that worked for them. And now it is, you can't deny that Fortnite, whether you love it or you hate it, it's a generational game. So the meta score really has nothing to do with, when it comes to live service games, I think meta scores are almost redundant, or review scores, because you're giving a very early, it's almost like an early access sort of review, but it shouldn't be that way. And I agree with you. They should release, fully complete and then build on that base, especially when it's a first party publisher, and especially when you have the money that Microsoft has to do so. But from all reports, it's not a bad game. 8 is a great score. I think we got to break out of that mindset. There's something that that I posted earlier on this week. You have to remember, Days Gone was 76. People love that game. Ghost of Tsushima, that was 83. Horizon Zero Dawn, that was an 86. Horizon Forbidden West, that was an 88. These games are all in the 80s and touted as greatness by those in the opposite side of the community. So it doesn't just go one way. It has to go both ways. So if you can have greatness in the 80s, then we've been releasing greatness for ages. Pete, I've been on Forza way too long because to be honest, none of us are really racer fans. And I've got a bit of a juicy topic coming up in the next one. So Pete, what are your thoughts on what's going on with Forza? Do you think it's been fair? I don't really see bias here, to be honest. Just knowing the reviewers. Pete? Well, yes.
Hello, beautiful. Yes.
Pete,
Pete's
obviously.
Pete,
no!
Oh, he had to leave. You see that? We bullied him into leaving. He's back now.
Oh, he's broken. He's broken. Pete's broken. Pete, you're gonna have to leave, reboot your stuff. We can't hear you. We'll jump on to the next topic though, because we've been on this way too long. But this is something that sort of came up earlier, and I wish I could bring this up on screen, but I've got limited resources this week because I am at work. But IGN released a tweet. This is absolutely hilarious. The biggest example of sticking your foot straight up your ass and in your mouth from the back end that I've ever seen. IGN released a tweet and an article just before another tweet, and this is how it went down. So IGN drops a tweet, says, with a dwindling player count and a promised 60 FPS patch still not out, and months of silence from its developer, Redfall may be on its last legs. And then no more than literally 5 minutes later, a huge update is now available for Redfall. 60 FPS performance mode on Xbox Series X, stealth takedowns, increased open world enemy population with new encounters, new controller settings, gameplay and combat changes, and much, much more. IGN promptly deleted their tweet, but not before the community screenshotted and shared it out. One of the comments underneath that thread was, I bet you feel silly now. Oh my God. That is absolute. Just
I love this.
Absolutely beautiful. So here's the first thing. So first thing, IGN, honestly, stop sticking your foot in your mouth. And secondly, Redfall's update. I mean, we all said drop this like a hot rock, right? I saw a conversation as well over Redfall, and is it something that can be redeemed? Can it have a redemption arc like CD Projekt Red has? I think the developer is good enough to bring it back. Does it? I mean, the question is, if this game can be brought back, does it have the bones of a good game? And Red Wolf, I mean, this is a fantastic. Honestly, I thought this is hilarious. So good on IGN for providing us with endless content. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Do you think IGN should just shut the fuck up? And do you think we can bring Redfall back from the brink?
Yeah, I mean, this happens so much. Serve in the chat says, I hate IGN. Yes, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot IGN is so big now. And I've said this for so many years. That's why I just like blocked the channel. I just don't care anymore. They don't seem to care. It's it's a company. It's a big, massive, huge worldwide company now. And they really just seem to care about the clicks. The same way that gaming, I don't want to quote the wrong, it was a PC Gamer or a Games Radar that was like shitting all over Starfield like endlessly, and then when it came out, it's like, here's what to look for, the best way to play Starfield, and it's like, shut up, you don't know. Anyway, IGN putting out like here's what's going to be trending: negativity, which we know that sells. The negativity gets clicks and people are interested in the drama. But then as soon as something really good happens, back to back, they say, well, we got to cover this. Hey Derek, was that you that posted the shit post? Yeah, we'll come back and say something nice. And that it's sort of, again, foot and mouth. Yeah, I think that's hilarious. And I think, honestly, I don't know. It's when there's no news, the negative drama shit posts are what's going to get clicks. Do I think Redfall can make a comeback? I do. I don't think, I don't say like comeback in terms of like it's back, maybe Redfall's back. It's like it never was there to begin with, and I think maybe like a couple years from now, or just like maybe a year and a half at the least, people could come back and say, you know what? They really showed some love. They took care of it. They patched it up a little bit, put a little makeup on it, and it feels good to play. It feels like what we thought it was going to be. And we've seen that before. Like No Man's Sky is sort of like that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to have that kind of comeback, but No Man's Sky sort of is the model for a comeback. So it can be done. But IGN, shut up. Stop talking. And Redfall, yeah, I would love to see them. Because Arcane, I mean, now someone, keep me honest, this is not the same Arcane. This is same thing. Wait, it's not the same BioWare. It's not the same. You're
saying it's not. It's
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, this one's not Deathloop. Yeah, this is not the Deathloop makers. This is the other studio. These are not the guys who made
I think I'm back.
Years back.
Deathloop, they made Prey. Yeah, they
Yeah.
made these are the guys that made Prey, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, what is it?
Which is-
Arcane Leon, and you have Arcane Leon and Arcane Austin. This was Arcane Austin here.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. It's sad. I mean, I hope that they can make it. I don't know. I was like I wanted to be excited for Redfall. I just didn't really get. I was like, oh, here we go. It's a live service with goofy, wacky characters and like a serious tone, which I guess maybe I'm just not the audience for that anymore. But I don't know. Hopefully they can make a comeback. But I've said too much.
Well, no. It's good thoughts, man. But yeah, I mean, I was excited for Redfall. I thought this could be really, really good. And I was more excited for Redfall than I was for Starfield. How wrong I was. But I don't know, from the looks of what's going down with this, and this news just sort of broke just before we went live, so I'm sort of catching up on it. From what I'm seeing around the community, it has made a massive improvement. Because my complaints on the game were, it was just basically you could walk for what felt like hours before you'd run into anyone. And then when you did, the AI was absolutely horrifically bad, dumb as a bag of rocks. Stealth takedowns were almost impossible. And the settings on the controllers was just felt bad. Like the whole thing felt bad. I mean, we heard that ID jumped in and helped him out with the controller settings of the combat, and I was like struggled to see what it is that they what knowledge they imparted, because it was just terrible. I mean, there is actually a video of me playing it for the first time live, and my reaction, I went back and watched, is absolutely priceless. I couldn't stop laughing at the stupid shit.
I actually I jumped in there and watched you play at Risk, and I was like, what? This is how it looks? I'm like,
It was bad. It was really bad. It wasn't even popping.
And I think that's the problem with Redfall. I just don't think the core gameplay mechanics are there to warrant fixing it. So with Fallout 76, you could see the bones of a really good game there. They just needed to, implement it better. But I just don't see the same thing with Redfall. I hope they don't waste too much time on it, and I hope they go back to what they're best at. Things like Dishonored and those type of games.
Yeah, but I mean, Pete, and I'll go to Umbra because I'm keen to get your thoughts. But I mean, how I think it's a couple of months after the launch, and they've managed to put a 60 FPS mode in. They've got there's improved PC performance. They've changed the user interfaces. The Vault and Mantl's fixed. There's controller updates. There's accessibility improvements. They've updated the AI, they've updated the combat, they've updated the weapons. They've done a lot of work in this month. Like, why I mean, it begs the question, and I hate to swear again, but why the fuck did they release this game the way they released it?
Riskit. I said the same thing on Twitter. I said, why not just delay? If they would have delayed this, because we all know it's impossible to get, make a first impression again, right? You don't get a second chance at that. However, there are second chances as far as games rebounding. So I'm not going to write it off as far as that goes. But if they got the update out there this fast, it would have made so much more sense to delay it until October as it is now, or until you actually had something going, and it could have coincided with now it being October, and they could have released it later in the month or something like that. Because all of these updates right here would have spared it a lot, I think maybe much more hate than it got, I would say. And Pete, I want to let you go ahead and go, and I'll jump back in a minute. You can go ahead, Pete. You were going to say something on it? Or maybe not.
Pete! No! I think Pete's died again. Blue, we'll jump back to you, Umbra, because I'm just a bit dumbfounded by this. And I know I saw Colt, g'day Colt in the chat there. I saw Colt playing this. He's posted up on Twitter, and he says it's a big improvement. I haven't got his exact quote, but he said just a few minutes into Redfall with encounters, enemies are much more frequent on patrol in the open world. With the new patch on the Xbox Series X performance mode, you can change the field of view, and there are motion blur settings finally as well. I mean, just all of these. I mean, I was looking through the update patch notes, and it's just a huge amount of updates. Like, it's a ridiculous amount of updates. To the gameplay, to combat, to the environment. Multiplayer has been like It astounds me that they released this game in the state that they released it. I mean, it could have been drier for a little bit longer, and we could have got it now. This would be a perfect time, or maybe back down, give it another couple of months, and drop it in December. Like, I just can't.
I can't get it either, man. And it's the same thing we said before. It's like, why would you release it in the state it was released in, right? And it makes it even worse. It exacerbates it now that we know they got this update out there this fast. I had no idea this update would come this fast. I know none of us did. Like, I expected next year, maybe late next year or something like that. They got it out in 5 months. So for one, kudos to them. But at the same time, then Microsoft, maybe you should have just waited, right? So, because I don't know if this game will rebound. Yeah, I just don't know if it'll rebound. I hope it does, and I'm going to give it another chance. Shout out to Bobby Hawk that said that none of us will give it another chance. I'm going to give it a chance. I want to see how it plays, but when will I get a chance to do that? Because we're playing so many other games right now. It's like I'm not going to put those down to get to it
early. They knew that all the games were coming. Yeah.
It could be. It could be. I mean, to your point, maybe that is part of it, right? But like, I think maybe if that's the case, then maybe they could have just delayed it all the way until next year. I'll take a delay. I've said this before. I'll take a delay over you putting the game out if it's going to make the game that much better. I mean, there's no such thing as a bad delay, as they would say, right? So,
you played it with me, Umbra. I enjoyed it when I played with you. I played with AJ. I always enjoy co-op games, but the problem with that game, especially for me, is the AI is just completely broken. If they're able to fix that, and they're like, you would just walk forever before you'd run into anything. I don't think the story was told, in any way that resembles a AAA game. It was just done terribly, which made me not want to progress the story. I had no incentive to go on. I liked the character design. I thought that was pretty cool. There are bits of the game that I like. I think the shooting needed to be worked on as well. I don't like, how you got weapons in the game. There was a lot of things that were left wanting on that game. I just wish they could have done so much better. But now, you cannot make a first impression again. And this game had such a bad first impression that, like, there's people in the chat that are saying that they're not sure if they're going to give this game a go again. And I mean, that's unfortunate, because if it released like this and I haven't played it since the update, then, maybe more people would have tried it, more people would have enjoyed it, and it could be a stepping stone for a new IP, which we all want.
Yep. One thing I'll add to that before I let it go to Holly to get her take is it being a new IP. That's one thing, right? So that's another strike too. So you have this new IP brought out by Arcane on a newly acquired Bethesda, and it's like their first game at $70, and then there's all these issues with it, right? And it's a foundational issue. This is not something that's like, oh, I'll just patch out, some of these things. Some of these things that have like fundamental to the game, and to release that like that, and we have to keep in mind the Xbox tax. That's the thing I keep coming back to, because some of these games, like, people will say, well, what about Sea of Thieves? Well, Sea of Thieves had the benefit, for one, that nobody saw that coming either, but it also has the benefit of being really big on PC, and because it's a gas title. Redfall.
By giving it these updates.
Yeah. So they're giving it these updates, but like, my thing too is, like, I look at the Xbox tax, and I wonder if I was just looking at the way you threw that guy over there, trying to throw him in the hay, but the Xbox tax. The Xbox tax, I feel like, is going to, and the media was not kind to Redfall. So I wonder, are they going to give it a fair shot? And are people who are seeing these media runs and what they've been saying, like the IGNs or the Kotakus and such, the Kotakus, are they going to give it the fair shake that it would deserve? And I don't think they will. But I am hopeful it rebounds.
They've even done that.
Yeah,
I don't think they've even done that for Fallout 76, bro. So I doubt they're going to do it for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Holly, you're a massive fan of Fallout 76 in the state that it's in now. I don't think you were with us when Redfall did drop, so we didn't get your initial sort of thoughts on Redfall. I mean, I did. We had a couple of conversations about it at FanFest. That was and I trust your takes. You're pretty honest and you're pretty brutal about it, and it was a huge mistake. And I mean, to your point, Umbra, when you said it's a new IP and maybe that's a strike against it, that's the reason why you should be treating new IPs with a lot more care. But Holly, do you think that they can bring it back?
That's true.
From what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's a pretty good experience now, which is great. And pushed back about the idea about it being a new IP. And I mean, Arcane is the one thing that Arcane is brilliant at is kind of hitting those new IP ideas and then being successful. They're kind of not scared to do new things, right? And Redfall at its core was a pretty good idea. The art style is definitely Arcane with a touch of Fortnite. It was a hot mess when it came out, and I, with my bias, really wanted to like it. I played it way longer than I probably would if it wasn't an Arcane game. But I would like to go back and kind of just restart and see what it's like. Maybe jump in with a few people and run it for a while, because the nice thing is that they didn't just stop, right? They didn't just give up. So even if they don't do anything else for this game, if they don't do any DLC, anything, it's at least going to be preserved in the state that they probably would have wanted it to release in. So that future, down the road when somebody else decides, I'll give that a try, at least they're getting the best experience.
Yeah, but do you want them to keep supporting it? Because we know that they're going to bring DLC. I mean, people have bought the Bite Back edition. You can't just drop that. I mean, that was my understanding. So, but do we want them to keep supporting it with updates? And as an Arcane fan, and like you said, with
I want
bias,
Dishonored 3. So
yeah, do you want them to keep going?
3. I mean, they need to follow through, but I'm selfish and I want Dishonored 3. So if
I
they
couldn't agree more,
didn't,
Holly.
I wouldn't
Just go to
care. I just
Dishonored 3.
really want Dishonored 3. Yeah.
Yeah, when they announced
Prey 2.
Deathloop and they announced Redfall, I was like, come on. Yeah, give us Prey 2. Give us Dishonored 3. What is this crap? I get you wanted to do new things, but Dishonored's
I
been
love
one
new
of the
IP
best
though.
Yeah, me too, but Dishonored's been one of the best new IP that's come out, I don't know. In the last 10 years, they took a chance. There's no stealth games anymore. They've completely been abandoned, and that's one of the best, with some of the best environmental storytelling I've seen in a game.
My biggest thing though about that, looking at those other games that you guys are talking about, Arcane Austin's strengths have been a single player styled, RPG-ish element type game with the stealth and all those things and the crazy moves you can pull off or powers, whatever. I think that Redfall was out of their wheelhouse, right? And you look at some of the reports, I think the rumors were behind the scenes that the devs didn't want to continue on.
They were pushing a live service.
Just about to say,
Exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't want to continue on with Redfall. So it's the desire thing inside the studios too that's hurting it, right?
Well, to that point,
Yeah.
I mean, Fallout 76 was the same thing, right? They didn't want to do that, but they did it, and it was trash for like 4 years. But now it's a phenomenal game.
It's crazy.
Nobody
right?
believes me, and nobody will give it a chance. And actually, that's not quite true either, because
Still millions on it. Yeah.
Their player uptick was huge this year. It
Yeah.
actually grew a lot. But there's so much hate for that game because of the initial, and people won't give it another chance. And that's the unfortunate part, and that's what's going to happen to Redfall.
Damn you, Skill Up. No, we love Skill Up. Skill Up's an absolute
How dare
legend.
you be honest?
I don't want to talk
playing
about.
Redfall.
I don't want to talk about
I was
Skill Up. I don't
playing
want to talk him. I don't want him in my presence. All these things. I want you all
I
to
was
remember
playing-
that.
I was playing Redfall
Oh.
with Colt, and he pointed something out to me. If you go into the main building and just stare at the bottom, at the floor, it takes like a minute for the detail to actually come up
assets.
on the sign, and just ridiculous things like that. Like, the game should never have been released. I get all the talk was about the 60 patch, but it was so much more than that. It was more to do with
Yeah.
the storytelling and the AI and just the way you progressed and getting from mission to mission, the emptiness and how empty the world felt, and then when you actually did do a mission, it was so same. So
That's
look,
what I was
I
gonna
just
say.
don't know if you
It's-
can fix that.
it's one of the things that I was like, I went into like knowing what Arcane does so well, and I was like, guys, let's go check out this building. Oh wait, I can't even. Wait, is this a glitch? And I'm like, oh wait, I guess we can't go into this building. And then we walked over to another house, like, let's see what's in here. Oh, I can't get in here. And then we finally found a house that we could finally get into, and it was like, oh, I wonder what happened in here. Oh, it just looks like a normal, regular house, as if nothing happened. And there was none of that environmental storytelling that they're known for. Nothing like, oh, like little secret here, like little like and I feel like that's again. I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it was Umbra or who said it. I don't know. Who said they fell out of their wheelhouse and they were like, we're being forced to do this. And I think maybe what it all really comes down to is Xbox sort of shifting gears over the past 2.5, 3 years, saying we have a roadmap that we want to have a really cohesive, consistent release schedule, and they decided maybe you guys had to release this. You have to keep going with this. We've already marketed it, and it has to come out now. We'll fix it later because we have so many things. We don't want anything. We don't want a card jam. We want everything to come out regardless. We can afford it. Yeah, which is unfortunate. And now look at it.
So
and now people are like, "Hey, come back."
What's that, Pete?
Yeah.
Which mentality?
The mentality that you can fix the game later. It's just you
I
only
agree.
get one chance to make a first impression. There's so much coming out. You have to hit the mark straight off the bat. And I think like that was that whole talk about Baldur's Gate 3 saying that not to expect this. Like, no. We should expect that. We should ask for more. We should ask for better. Get your shit together. When I bought a cartridge back in, the Nintendo games, it's not like they could do an update. These developers are capable of doing these things, but we've just given them so much leeway over the years that they now think that they can get away with murder.
I feel like you wanted to say back in my day when you said the Nintendo part, but
I feel like
it was a good time then.
I sort of feel hands on it. This is sort of more of a Redfall, an Arcane sort of thing. A Bethesda thing. They were pushing for the live service. They got to the boat late, lost a lot of developers during development, and I think the blame as far as Xbox goes is that they weren't aware of what was going on at the studio. We've heard in the background that there's been significant changes to how they handle their pipeline with bringing in new developers. And hopefully this doesn't happen with the ABK deal, which is our next topic. What a segue. Pat on the back to Riskit. Before we do go to the next topic, please hit the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. We go live 8 p.m. EST every Friday until you guys hit daylight savings, which I probably won't know about until the day before. And if you're in the east of Australia, daylight savings now, so I think it's 11 a.m. And in the west, where we don't mess with our clocks, we just run it like it is still 8 a.m. So we got some news not too long before the show opened this week as well. I mean, everything's dropping just before the show. Microsoft seems like it's going to be closing their deal on the 13th of October. I'll read a quick blurb from, this is from Tom Henderson, who broke the news. Tom Warren, who broke the news. He said Microsoft is planning to finalize the $68.7 billion proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard next week. A source familiar with Microsoft plans tells The Verge that the company is eyeing up Friday, October the 13th as a closing date where it will announce to the world that the 20-month process to buy Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard is finally over. He didn't say finally. I just added the finally, and thank God. I mean, we talked about this last week. We talked about this at length. We talked about it ad nauseum. It is just great to hear. And I won't go to the panel unless someone's got something to add. But I just wanted to say it is fantastic to hear that we're finally going to get this closed, even though the FTC is still trying to block the deal on the back end after closing. So we may still see some drama with this. But yeah, I think
I'll say one thing, Riskit. I'll say one thing. Don't close the deal on Friday the 13th. This thing's had way too much bad luck as it is. Yeah, just change the fucking date.
Yeah, closing on a Thursday.
The thing that this sort of leads into is PlayStation announced they've got exclusive content for COD. I can't believe it. They've got an operator skin available that you can only get on PlayStation, and there were the massive news and some of the stuff that we heard from from PlayStation during this whole back and forth with Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, CMA, and the FTC was that they might get a downgraded version. I mean, this is just absolute hypocriticalness. I just cannot believe that they just, the brazenness of this. And that I'm sort of a little bit pissed that Activision Blizzard honored this contract. I'm sure it's probably been set forth, long before the game was announced, but it's just ridiculous. PlayStation bitching about getting, they might get operator skins and we might get a degraded version. I mean, honestly, fuck you. It's just, I couldn't believe it. I mean, Red, I'll jump to you. What do you think? You think this is highly hypocritical and sort of points out PlayStation's hypocrisy in the industry?
Yeah, man. I mean, this is sort of this is hilarious because after everything that they just went through in court and trying to defend themselves, I'm sure that this was something already in the pipeline, and then they probably looked back and went, "Hey, so should we cancel that?" Or it's like, "No, dude, we paid $100,000 for that one thing," and then well, we gotta stick with it, but we're gonna get yelled at. So they still had to push it through anyway, because the majority of these things don't happen overnight, obviously. It is just PlayStation at its best, just money hatting every little thing that they can fit in their little hat, the little PlayStation hat. What kind of hat is it? Where does that term come from? Money hat. Is it a blue beanie hat?
I think it's a big magician's top hat where they just keep pulling shit out of their ass because they got no first party shit.
There we go.
Definitely a purple hat, Red. Definitely a purple hat, bro.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this is crazy. Blue, obviously, I know you're a massive Call of Duty fan like myself. This one annoy you?
The operator for PlayStation, not at all. I don't care. It doesn't matter. They've had it for so long, right? And it's fine. This is a DLC, aka, next edition that wasn't even supposed to come, right? So let them have it. It's fine. It's one operator with two skins. I don't care.
Can I ask you something? So let me pose a question in a different way. It's okay not to be mad. And it's okay to be wrong. I'm kidding. It's fine. I think what I'm curious is, are you surprised at the audacity that PlayStation is like, fuck it, we're just gonna keep doing the thing that we said that we weren't. Well, it's not that they said that they weren't going to, but are you surprised that they did this?
No. And didn't they already have the agreement through 2025 or 2024 or something like that anyway?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The pipeline.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Red. This is all contracts that Microsoft is just fulfilling. I mean, Sony had all this stuff in place before the deal was announced. Now
and it's not Microsoft yet. It's not Microsoft yet.
Yeah.
So.
Fingers crossed, Holly. Fingers crossed. We don't have to talk about this anymore.
They were gonna go business as usual no matter what, because you don't know, right? Yeah. You never actually know.
Wow. Okay. So what? Do you think that this deal was actually made recently and wasn't just a contract that they were fulfilling from, any prior agreement that they had?
No. I think this was coming for a long, hard time.
Yeah. I agree with
that. Did you have to add the hard?
I also don't care.
I didn't, but I also help myself.
I also don't care if it's just an operator skill. What does annoy me is if they get extra maps, actual content. That's when I start to get I feel that Xbox gamers are unfairly done by. So it happened during Destiny where they got extra. I think they got extra strikes and things like that. Extra content is never a good thing. If it's just an operator skin, then I really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't care.
I don't know why they just don't give him Nicki Minaj. I mean,
yeah, they get at it. The one thing I'll say about
the WAP gun. Wop. Sorry.
The one thing I'll say about that particular operator skin is if you play COD and you know that operator and the way that they are dressed, they're extremely hard to see in the dark. So you can hide in corners, and it actually does give you an advantage. So much so that they had to, with the last, I think it was Modern Warfare 2019, and with the last one, I think they had to make updates to visibilities for that character. So yeah, it does give you a little bit of an advantage using Oni.
Yeah, that one in the Splinter Cell black suit, skin
Yeah.
tight suit. Yeah, and I think they put a big red thing on their chest because
The
that
pajama pants, the pajama boys this
Yeah.
year, all those
Yeah.
stupid pajama outfits. I'm sorry, they drive me nuts. Like I was just calling there goes pajamas. Like the FaZe and all the other teams, right? And people
that's a
were
DC
buying one of
superhero.
them because
Yeah.
they were like all
Yeah,
black
that's-
except for a tiny bit of white, and then they had to redo it, and then everybody asked for a refund because they were like, oh. I only bought this because it was black, like all black, and they had the better advantage for hiding in the corners and stuff. But
Yeah,
I
and
don't
it's-
like any
Pajama
of these new skins. Like, I don't like the Homelander things. I think all of it is just ridiculous. It's completely out of place when it comes to COD. They're turning it into Fortnite, and I don't know. It
Yes.
doesn't look like it's stopping
Yes.
because so many people are actually buying them, and if they're going to be making money, they're going to keep doing it.
yeah, stop buying that shit. We need to speak with our wallets on this one because what was the crazy one? There was like a Groot character, and there's just some weird characters going in there, man. Lilith, there was Lilith. It's like, come on, this is not. I don't want to be shooting Lilith when
Yeah.
I'm playing COD. Like,
I don't even mind them putting
Lilith
Snoop Dogg in
from
be-
Diablo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lilith and one other character from Diablo are coming.
And Nicki
And
Minaj.
Look
Overwatch
at the-
character. Yeah.
Wait, you weren't
I
kidding
think
about
you were
Nicki
talking about it,
Minaj?
Holly.
No,
the
she's in
Battle
it.
Pass.
She's
Yeah,
got
she's in there.
long pink hair. She's very easy to see.
Oh
It's
my
a
God.
great-
What-
What's funnier is the
Battle
thing she
Pass for this
says.
season has Spawn, has like the clown from Spawn, has
It's
these
horrible.
ridiculous characters, just terrible.
You got to hear the
Sh-
stuff that the dialogue read what she says.
I
Right.
can't imagine. I already made the WAP joke. She's
I
carrying
heard
around a WAP 69 Mark II or whatever.
The weapon of mass destruction.
Weapon of power. Weapon.
Yeah, right.
well, don't
Never
even.
mind.
We'll move
A
on.
weapon,
Yeah,
a weapon of mass destruction.
yeah. Sorry.
Look, so there was a few games that dropped this week, and Assassin's Creed I wanted to run over and talk. I mean, you guys have been seeing the gameplay up on the screen, and I don't know if you, Umbra or Red, Blue, been playing it, but I know me and Pete have, and I definitely had some thoughts on this, and I definitely wanted to sort of pass that on to the chat there. Before we do, please hit the like button. Share us out. We go live 8 p.m. EST every Friday. If you're in the States, if you're in the east of Australia, it's now 11 a.m., and if you're in the West Coast, Best Coast, 8 a.m. So Assassin's Creed, man, this game is definitely a callback to the originals, and maybe a little bit too much so. I'm probably around about 10 hours in, and from all the reviews that I sort of watched, that's sort of once you about 10 hours in, that's sort of most of the mechanics are sort of with you when you're using them. It definitely has the stealth. I love the stealth that they've gone back to. The old school stealth from Assassin's Creed was absolutely amazing. We need more games like that. But the problem was always with Assassin's Creed, and I don't know why that this is a thing, and you can even look at Ghost of Tsushima and other games that's sort of in the genre, is there's always an issue with the combat, and the combat in this game is not great. It's really sort of affecting my enjoyment. So if things go bad and I end up in a fight, I want to be able to fight it out, like my way out of it. And the combat's just really rough. It's one button where you basically either you have a quick attack, a heavy attack that you hold. You've got a parry system that's just does not feel right. And the telegraphing is they highlight a different color, but it telegraphs really weirdly. And then when you do parry, if you get a perfect parry, it's an instant kill. And it's actually quite easy to get a parry on a lot of the lower level NPCs and just get an insta kill. This sort of takes away a little bit of the enjoyment. It is a stealth game. That's where its strengths are. But I just don't understand why we can't have this stealth game with awesome combat to go with it. I don't think anyone's done that yet. So I really am enjoying it. I'm not massive on the story yet. I haven't made a decision. I think the voice acting is pretty good. But at the moment, I'm sort of holding it at a bit of a 7. I wouldn't give it an 8. But what I was surprised to see was that IGN did give it an 8. So apparently it's way better than Starfield. So you should definitely play it. Pete, what are your thoughts so far? I know you're not quite as far in as I am, but how are you feeling? Where are you at?
Okay, So far, I'm giving it a 7.5. I don't look. The graphics don't shine. There's no doubt about it. Something feels off about it. I can't. I don't know what's going on, but I can't turn HDR off. And when I do turn it off, I can't then manipulate the contrast and the brightness settings. So I think they need to fix that because I got my torch out and it looks red. It doesn't look orange. Doesn't look yellow. It looks red. So there's something off there that's annoying. I loved the opening bit, Risk. I don't know how you didn't get into the story straight away. I loved how they did it. I don't really want to give away any spoilers, but it's very old-fashioned
Yeah, but
Assassin's Creed.
that's
where,
it. That's the thing. That's the
you have to
problem.
become an assassin.
So that's the problem with it, Pete. Is like you get the story at the start, and then it just opens up, and you'll see. Like it doesn't follow up.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow up at all. So like, it's like I haven't got to the end yet.
That's
but
disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is disappointing, and like it doesn't cohesively meld the story into. Now, from what I've been doing, like some of the story missions and some of the contract missions, they're not sort of involved in this. They are involved in the story, but not in any significant way. And then you sort of get lost on the story and don't know where the hell you're at, which is it's poorly done, and that's not quite on point. But sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, you're good. Like, and so that has hooked me. Like, so you get the prologue screen, cut like when you complete that, and then if you go a little bit further, you get the title screen come up, and that bit, I actually like. I was fired up. I'm like, hell yeah, Assassin's Creed's back, baby. I mean, this is my jam. I love being in the universe. I think Basim is an excellent character. The voice acting, I always forget her name. I was talking to Bushido the other day. I just don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not even going to try and attempt it. But she's in The Expanse. She's that Iranian American actress, and she's Basim's trainer in this. And man, she's just the best voice actor. She is brilliant. She's also in Mass Effect. So I really love all that stuff about it. The stealth aspects are fantastic. I think the fluidity of motion feels really, really good. And I think there's a reason the combat feels off Risk. They don't want you to be in combat. If you get into combat, you've done something wrong. It's basically just meant to be a stealth game. It plays, I would say, similarly, like if I was to pick one, to Unity, where if you actually got into combat, you know, the chances of you dying are, you know, a lot more. But yeah, it's Assassin's Creed, so I'm always going to enjoy it. I'm always going to be biased.
I'd push back on that and say, like, then don't have combat in the game. Don't have it as a thing. So if you're going to have it in the game, do it well or don't do it. That's, sort of excusing it. I know you're a big sort of fan of the stealth, but excusing the poor combat by saying, oh, it's a stealth game and that's what you're supposed to stick to. Well, but there is combat and you can play the game head on. And if you can do that and that is an option, it should feel good to do. And it doesn't feel good to do. And that is probably most likely, in my opinion, what's holding it back from getting any higher than a 7. Well, it's an 8. You know, it's better than Starfield, so you guys should play it. But that's what sort of holds it back for me. Yeah, but again, I'll go to the panel. Have you guys had a chance to check it out? What are your thoughts? Do you think you'll be jumping into it? Red, blue, infinite. Where are you at?
You could have said red, blue, black, because I'm black. But anyway, no. No time soon. That's the bad thing, because we have an overabundance of games. I am at Unity, and I am the weirdo that feels like you have to do everything in order. I can't jump from 1 to part 4, for instance, right? That's just how I am. I refuse to do it. And I know this might not have exact ties to they probably do with this, to be fair, actually, but still, that's how I am. So I have to get through Unity and then the other Assassin's Creed games before I can even feel comfortable to jump on this. So for me, it's a no. But I actually thought
do it in chronological order.
That's how. Well, I hate
straight away.
I don't like that at all. I hate that even more, trying to go to the prequel route, because then I'll have new updated moves and stuff that I'll be able to do in the prequel that I won't then be able to do in other games when I go back to it. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
well, you could look at it.
You used to play it now, bro. You know.
See,
yeah.
I would say you could look at it like it's not about the features; it's about each assassin has different skills. You know, so you could sort of
particular set of skills, you would say.
a particular set of skills that finding daughters is the way that, I don't know, I went like Irish. Oh, that's like not, that's my worst
Yeah,
Liam
he's heard
Neeson
Irish.
impression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, my
Um,
shillings. Me shillings.
Where's me daughter? I'm gonna find you. Sorry.
That's a nice potato.
Oh, well, did you put the bomb in the potatoes again, lad? I absolutely, I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I've played. I checked actually before the podcast because like I want to brag about this. I put 413 hours in Valhalla and 320 some hours in Odyssey. Valhalla being my favorite Assassin's Creed game. Now, let me say, for anyone that kills me and assassinates my family,
I'm with you.
like Liam Neeson.
I'm with you.
The thing is, and I've talked about this with my friends. If everyone says it's a terrible Assassin's Creed game, that's fine. It's the same thing with Ghost Recon, the most recent Ghost Recon games. If Valhalla came out and it was just called Valhalla, and it was just a Ubisoft created Viking open world game, people might have had a much different opinion.
Yes.
Might have had a much different opinion. And because that game is so good, like either of the characters, Ivor of the characters, were great. The story was great. The open world was great. Everything about it was just.
Well, let me jump in here. Let me jump in here because you're making an awesome point, and I agree with you. Valhalla for me was one of the was top tier, but I preferred it over Odyssey and the other one that started with O.
Yes, same.
Origins. But this is the thing, and I said this going way back. You can go way back into our early shows when we talked about Ubisoft. There's no reason that these two games can't exist, and there's no reason that the RPG Assassin's Creed needs to be Assassin's Creed. Because to Umbra's point, I think pretty much after Unity, the story goes off the fucking rails. Like, it's completely fucked at the moment. Like, no one knows what's going on with Assassin's Creed. I would challenge anyone to explain to me the timeline and how it all runs through coherently, because it doesn't. I think what they need to do is they need to scrap the Assassin's Creed name for the RPGs, make that a new IP. It would have been successful because it's a great game, and continue on with the Assassin's Creed stealth and just update some of the features in the game, like the combat and some of the parkour. I mean, the parkour is great, could be a little bit better. It hasn't really changed, and I feel like we could, they could progress that, and that would still be its own thing, and people would still be into that. So, I mean, depending on where you go with it, and that gives you two separate ones. I said that way back, and then when they were bringing out Mirage, I was extremely hopeful that they wouldn't just bring out a graphically updated, slightly mechanically updated game, which is what they've done. I had hoped that they would bring one out with extra features, better combat, better stealth, more options in your stealth. They haven't done that. They've just sort of gone with the bland vanilla reboot. It's not a bad game. I just hoped for more. But yeah, sorry, Red, to cut you off there, but that is a point that I 110% agree with. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when they were boasting about we're making a return to Assassin's Creed, and so I'll just talk about my experience so far and my expectations versus what I have seen so far. I was thinking, okay, so we're getting social stealth, heavy movement back. So for anyone, I don't know how else to say it other than that. So for anyone, just so I can explain, in the original Assassin's Creed games before Unity, even Unity and Syndicate had this. And Hitman games have it, where it's a social stealth game where whenever you move, whenever you push up on the left stick, you are moving, like you're walking. And if you want to run, you click the button to run, and then if you want to sprint, you would hold the right trigger to start sprinting. And while you're holding the right trigger, you would automatically run up and automatically parkour, and everything felt really fluid. They don't have the walking, like just the regular walking, which it's not a big deal. I was hoping for that back, just because you can like blend in the crowds, and it just makes it feel more intentionally I don't know how to explain it, but so that wasn't there. It's not a huge deal, but so what I did is also another thing that I was hoping for that I think that they have, correct me, Riskit, because I think you definitely have a little more time than I have. I was like, I really miss the automatic kills. Like you're an assassin. You want to be able to like parry someone and instantly kill them like in the old days. And they have sort of added that back.
Yeah, but it's not automatic. Yeah.
It's a little more skill based now, but that comes with the combat issue, the telegraphing of some. It's like, all right, he's coming to attack me, so I throw out my parry, and then it's a red attack. I'm like, fuck, and it's like it's so.
Yes.
I wish that they would just light up red immediately if that's what they're gonna do.